Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, Sarah?
I'm great. How are you, Andrew? Thank you. Thank you for coming to our user group meeting tonight.
Great. Maybe I should switch make you the first. Ta-da!
And everybody who is watching us online, thank you for coming. And there's a few people here today already. Sam is in the house. There's a few Facebook users. You told me about that earlier, that they don't have their name on there.
Right. So let me go to that. So, so as a reminder, or remember, please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pics so that we will be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. So you should see that at the top of the live. There should be a link to StreamYard.com/Facebook. If you click on that, you just kind of give permissions, and then if anything, you might have to go back to that group to see this, but that's how you will then be able to get credited.
Absolutely. And it's even more important because I don't know if you all know, but we are, hi, Osvaldo. We are going to be doing a raffle at the end of this. And so, hey, Tim. And it would really be good to know who you are so that if you win, I can collect your information from you at the very end.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, and then let me see, go to the area. So let us ask, where is everyone watching from? So while we're
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Tim's from Pennsylvania. And I'm in Florida.
Excellent. Yeah, let us know in the comments. So yeah, Tim is tuning in from Pennsylvania. And let me turn that off.
We got someone from Dunedin. I wonder if that's Michael.
I was going to say, do you want to start clicking on the comments? Get used to that while I...
Yeah. Valerico. These are all Florida places.
Wow.
Yes.
The next one's pretty intense.
Ooh.
Sam from Ghana. Or Karen from Fort Worth, Texas.
Hi, Karen. Welcome.
We got Sam from... where was it? These jump up a bit. Sam from Ghana. That's
welcome.
Quite the international. Do you want to do the next one, Dave?
Sure.
Hi.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah. Cool.
And Michael's from Safety Harbor. Yep, that's the Tampa market. Welcome.
Right. Thanks for being here, Michael.
This is very cool. Feel like we're getting everybody in. Everybody's coming in. Welcome, welcome. I know for some of you, you're in a different time zone. Laura's with us. Hi, Laura. Welcome.
Great. We got Andy Nichols from Stoke-on-Trent. So I think Andy was asking last time. So just once again, as a reminder, you have to give StreamYard permission. So StreamYard.com/Facebook, and then it should show your profile name and your picture.
Exactly.
We got Nikki from Alaska.
Welcome, Nikki.
Nice.
Very nice. Thanks for all tuning in. I know that everyone's really busy. So, but I think this is going to be a very beneficial event. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I've got my pen and my paper and I'm ready to take some notes.
Nice. I got my pen, the Wacom pen. Tablet.
Someone says, I don't see StreamYard. I wonder what they mean by that.
Shout out to StreamYard, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, there you go. That's what you mean. Okay.
And then Osvaldo, who's one of my moderators.
Okay.
Reminding everyone that this is a free event
hosted
by Facebook groups. So if you see any post asking for your credit card info, please report that comment. Do not give any of your info. We've had people from other countries jump in on the event page and post misinformation like that. So thank you all. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
And then it says they found it. So they found the link to StreamYard. So
fantastic.
Do that. And so while we are waiting for a little bit more people, let us give a shout out to StreamYard. So I'll play a little intro movie to StreamYard, as you can see over there. Where is it?
Yeah, the cushion.
Yeah, the multi-streaming app. So thank you, StreamYard. Here's a little intro to them.
Great.
Thank you, StreamYard.
It's very helpful. Very helpful indeed.
I really like StreamYard. It's very easy to use, but professional, and they're always updating the features. It's quite an excellent platform to be on. Oh,
Miguel
cool.
just came in the room. Hey, Miguel.
Yeah, hey, good to see you here.
Good to see you.
John Stevenson, testing.
1, 2, 3.
Right. 1 second. Let's see.
I like Tim's comment. That movie looks familiar.
You can click on
it. This is new to me. The whole.
I was on his show and I was supposed to dance. So
oh.
Okay, Tim, this is for you. Thank you, Tim.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. John says it works.
Indeed.
Look at me all red. I'm blushing here. My blood is boiling.
I just thought it was makeup. That's okay.
That's right. on the shades, I quickly put on makeup too. Okay, so I think it's a pretty good turnout for now. So
yeah, let's go ahead.
I guess I'll introduce myself and then jump into Photoshop.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Great. So once again, Sarah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and showing me this new StreamYard way of doing things. And our Tampa Bay user group always used to meet in person in the Tampa market. And with COVID and, this access now, it's like wonderful to be able to do this comfortably from my own home, and then also meet so many wonderful people that have an interest in learning. And so, going forward, this might, be the way to do things. So thank you so much. You've been a blessing to me, Andrew, for, showing me kind of the way and introducing me to all these great people. And, I just want to keep it going. So thank you, Andrew.
And I can offer to host some of your.
Oh, that would be great.
As well, yeah. So I can be on the other side of things.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess a little bit about me. So yeah, Andrew Kavanagh. So yeah, I think you know me from running all the too many Facebook groups. So yeah, the Photoshop and Lightroom group, the Learn Photoshop group, and the Photoshop and Photography group. And I also started a club now on Clubhouse, the audio chat app, which is getting pretty big. A lot of great people from Adobe and a lot of great photographers, creatives in the industry are there. I think Mark Zuckerberg was speaking today. I think Oprah's on it now, and Jared Leto. I mean, there's a lot of people are really kind of jumping into it, and it's really nice though, because you can get conversations going from people who normally you'd never hear from. Famous people, and they're pretty down to earth, and it's a nice platform. So that's, if you're on Clubhouse, that's Photoshop and Photography. You can just do the search top left for clubs. But yes, Andrew Kavanagh, I'm a Photoshop and Lightroom tutor. I'm a photo editor, so retouching, photo compositing. Let's see, back in the 90s, I went to school of visual arts for computer graphics, fell in love with Photoshop, and went out and got the Deke McClellan Photoshop Bible, which was about this thick. So I think it was 800 pages. Read it through, and then I started building up my portfolio. Read it through again. And when I got my portfolio together, I ended up applying to some creative temp agencies. And then I got in the door through the temp agencies to work for advertising. So I worked for advertising in New York, Tarlo Advertising. Some of the clients were Revlon, Neutrogena, Ralph Lauren, Polo Sports. And then in time, my supervisor said, would you like to do an evening session at another advertising agency? So we would hop in a cab and we would take off and go to Young and Rubicon, and we would do photo compositing for clients like Philip Morris. I think they had Hewlett Packard. And then I worked for another advertising agency. I did some work for Godiva. And I kind of got burnt out on the advertising world. Everything's due yesterday. And I moved to San Francisco with my wife and caught the last year of the .com boom. And then from there, freelanced and then moved to Los Angeles, which I've been here about, I think, 15 years now. So I balance the Photoshop and Lightroom tutoring with the retouching, compositing, and then running the various Facebook groups and now Clubhouse clubs. So it's a busy life. So thanks everyone for being here. And I guess Laura says that she had that book. Yes, it was a great book, very, very big book. It was pretty thorough, and that's what I liked about it. Was I was taking classes at School of Visual Arts, and it seemed like the pace was a little too slow, and that book enabled me to kind of jump into it faster. So Andrew says, how do you find time to do any work? Yeah, I know I wish I could clone myself. Miguel says he needs an invite. I think you might be on Android though, right, Miguel? So they just have it, Clubhouse is just for iPhone for now, but the minute it opens Android, send me a Facebook message. I'll be glad to give you an invite. Yeah. And let's see. Can you send me the video file from the stream? I totally want to repurpose you doing the Tim. Sure. Yeah, you can cut it out and put it in the, that's a creative idea. I like that. Cool. Okay. Don't forget. We'll have
Clone stamp.
someone's reminding that, yes, once again, there will be a raffle at the end of this event. So.
Yep. I just typed that in, Andrew, onto actually Facebook.
So Osvaldo says the famous Andrew K about to drop some knowledge, grab some popcorn.
You're famous.
I might keep this, kind of simple for people, but during the process, there will be questions. So feel free to bring your questions, everybody.
That's right.
Let's see. Maybe I'll jump back to this mode. Yep. All right. Cool. So, Sarah, shall I just jump into Photoshop?
Yeah, I think so. I can't wait to see about your compositing. I always feel like I can learn a tip or two on when the compositing. So yeah, let's jump in there, and I'll keep track of what everybody's asking, and I'll interrupt you every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Just feel free to click on the comments or questions as they come in, and then just let me know, as I will not be looking at them. So
Andrew would like to know if there's going to be a test at the end.
No, I'll be nice. Okay. So yeah, so I'm going to jump into screen sharing mode.
Sounds great.
And start off here. So you can see Photoshop just fine. Sarah, looks good? Yes,
it looks great.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to go into full screen view so you can see the details better. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I wanted to do a simple composite, but have the time to answer questions. So I came up with this idea of water worlds, and so the first thing when I do a composite is I tend to bring in the elements, and I do a mixture of, say, free stock photography with my own shot photography. Sometimes I use a Sony a6000 mirrorless, and other times I just use my iPhone. A lot of times I'm looking for abstract elements, textures, whatnot, and I like to combine the two. So let's see. So in the beginning, I would tend to just create a new document. As you can see, anything that I do, you will see on the right is a keyboard shortcut. So as you can see here, Command N is how you would create a new document, and you can obviously go to File, New. But I would get pretty comfortable with the keyboard shortcuts. It makes the flow much more graceful when you work in Photoshop. And so this comes up, and so Photoshop has various presets, and the good thing about it is it remembered the last custom preset that I worked in. And so instead of having to go up here and type in 200 or 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels at a certain resolution, etc., I can just click on the custom preset that I had, and then at the top, I'm just going to call it Water World. And so as you can see, it's 2048 by 2048 at 200 pixels per inch, set to RGB. it doesn't really matter what you start off with the background contents, because I'm going to be filling it with images, but I tend to like to use black as opposed to white because it just is a little bit too stark for me. And then I already have it set to the sRGB color profile because I know that most of the time my images will be going on Facebook or Instagram. And even nowadays for printers, a lot of them also default to converting over to sRGB. So then I hit create, pops up. And so for the background, I want to use this underwater image. Just a couple, the way I like to teach is I am aware that there are people who are beginners and people who are intermediate and advanced. So I do like to speak about all the different steps. I try to make it as valuable as possible. So when it comes to bringing over an image, you could either, as long as you have the move tool selected at the top of the toolbar, you could either click and drag over the image and it pops right in. I'm going to do a Command Z, I'm on a Mac, Control Z on a PC. Or if you have your layers panel open, you would just go where it says background. It means that it's a flattened image. And then what I usually do is I hold the Shift key and then drag that into the new document to center it. And then once I do that, I can close that. I don't need that anymore. Oh, okay. So one thing that the latest update does that I'm not the biggest fan of is it creates this artboard. So I need to go back and change that. I didn't want to use an artboard. So let me just say duplicate layer. So I'm going to make this its own new document so I can just have that image back again. Hopefully it's not, I think it might be cropped though. Okay, so file, open recent. Life is always, life is always testing us. So there we go. So don't save that. So like I said, I don't want an artboard, and it did default to artboard. So I'm going to just close that altogether. Okay, so once again, file new, and then new document, recent ones, go to saved. Okay, I'm just going to go and do it direct. So it's web, and hopefully it won't default to an artboard. I don't want it to be an artboard, so I turn that off. So Water World 2048. 2048. That's 200 pixels per inch. I like black background. I wanted to go to the sRGB color profile. That's fine, square pixels. And hopefully this will create without it being good. So it's not an artboard now. Great. Okay, so same thing again. I go to the image that's already open. I like to go to the layers panel where I will shift, drag, and bring it into the document I want. And I will close that, keep it simple. And then I like to work when I'm working on my images, I hit the F key and then it gives me a neutral gray background of my canvas so I can focus on my image. And then when I'm in this layer, I just do a Command T on a Mac, Control T on a PC. And you can see there's a bounding box. I'm going to resize this. So what I do is I do a Command 0 and it brings me back to this full view. So I can then do an Option and pull in to resize that image. So make it a little bit larger. I hit the F key a couple times, come back. And then say I wanted to bring over this image, but I wanted to knock out the background first. So the first thing is you'll notice that it says background. Also, one thing that's important is whenever you are working on any panel, if they don't seem to be showing in Photoshop, always remember that you can go up to the Window menu. And under Window menu, you will see any of the panels that you need. So as an example, if layers was missing, as it is now, I go to Window, I look for layers, choose that, and it pops back up. So that's, just think of looking through a window to find what you need. So window is all the different panels listed. At the bottom, just so you know, it also lists all the open images or documents that you have, so that you have easy access to jump from one image to the next if you want to do it that way. Okay, so here we are in the kind of globe image. And so what I'll do is I could either double click background to make it a layer and then call it globe if I wanted to. Or what I tend to do is if you do a Command J, you will make a new layer. But even better, if you wanted to keep track of your layers, if you do a Command Option J, this panel comes up, or window comes up, where you can then title it. So I can just call it globe. And there it is as a layer above. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the background layer. And then if I go to my properties panel, there are a couple different quick actions that have become very helpful in Photoshop. If I do select subject, just like it sounds, it will do a selection of the globe of the subject. And do a Command D to deselect. And then if I click on remove background, it will then create its own built-in layer mask and knock out the background. And then on something like this, I hit F key. I'll click the double arrow to hide the properties panel. Command plus to zoom in. And then it's good for most part, and doesn't need to be perfect for this example, but just to show you, when I have this built-in layer mask, I just make sure it's selected. It has this kind of frame around it. I choose a brush, B for brush, and then I always check on my options bar. So anytime I choose a tool in the toolbar, I then check what the settings are in the option bar. So in this case, I want the opacity set to 100. And then with my brush, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's a certain size. I don't need it to be so big, so I hit the left bracket a few times, goes down smaller. And then the foreground is set to black. If I were to do that, that would erase through my image. So I don't want to do that. So I switch it to white. You can either click on the double arrow thing to switch it, or if you hit the X key, it'll switch for you. So you can toggle back and forth. That's always handy if you're erasing and then bringing back using a layer mask. So in this case, there's just a couple little areas I want to clean up. So I set it to white as the foreground color, so I can bring back. I go to the edge of the globe, I click, and then holding Shift, I'm just going to kind of inch my way up to that selection. Now you'll notice that the edge is a little bit kind of fuzzy. If I wanted it to be sharper, I can right click, and then up comes the options for my brush, and I can just quickly make the hardness 100, click out, and I go back and I click on the edge, holding Shift, and then when I click, you can see it becomes more of a kind of solid edge and not so fuzzy. And so on the right, there's also another area that I want to do. So click, Shift, click, Shift, click. I'm just kind of filling it in a little bit. I'm not trying to be perfect right now. There's plenty of other things I want to show you, but just wanted to kind of show you how you would utilize that built-in layer mask. Okay, so then you choose your move tool at the top. I hit the F key a couple times to get back, Command minus, I zoom out. Then I can bring the globe by holding Shift drag into the middle of this image. And so obviously this image, if I go here and I go to image size, it's telling me that the resolution is 200 pixels per inch. And therefore, the fact that the globe came in so large, I would expect that this was at least 300 pixels per inch. So when I go to image size, oh, it's 72 pixels per inch, but the pixel dimension is larger. So it's 8,000, where the water world composition that we're working on is only 2,048. So that's why it's coming in so large. No problem. I just go here. I hit F to get that view. I'm already in the top layer. And I do a Command T for transform. And then I do a Command 0 so I can see the bounding box. And then I do a Option click on the corner. So it does both sides, keeps it proportional. And then just kind of bring it in like that. Hit Return to commit. Now, don't forget, when you get to this point, to do a Save As. And so I want to make sure that I save this before I start doing a lot of work and then find out that, you know, I'll just say Waterworld New. Don't want Photoshop to crash on me or anything, so save that. Always make sure you save. Okay, and there I am with this. So with this, I wanted to just show you the, and that I don't need this image anymore, so I'll close that. Don't save. And then I wanted to show you some basics of layer mask. So when I'm in this layer, and I wanted to blend it so I can see some of the nice features underneath, I just go to the built-in layer mask. I choose a brush. And as you can see, the brush is a certain size. If I hit the right bracket key, I can make it a little bit larger. And then I'm going to choose the opacity in the options bar, make it down to like 30. Yeah, 30. And then setting the foreground color to black. Once again, I can hit the X key to make it the foreground. And then when I go in and so I can see the edges of it, and that means that the brush is still set to the hard edge. So I right click. I then grab the slider, move the hardness to 0. And then now when I paint, it's more painterly. And so I can go in and just kind of erase with the layer mask to show some of the imagery underneath. And so especially I wanted this turtle to come through. So I'm just kind of having fun with it. It's more of a artistic or fine art type of composite. I might do something like that, where I bring in a little bit of that. And I am using a Wacom tablet with a pen. It's kind of more painterly. And I'm just going to kind of erase, paint out the layer mask certain areas. Let the fish come through. And if it seems a little too weak of the strength, I just go to the opacity. I go hover over the word opacity, and a scrubby slider hand comes up, and then I can click and pull to the right and make it a little bit stronger, maybe like a 50. And then when I paint, it takes away that area a bit quicker. So I'm just kind of doing a little artistic. And then what I tend to do is I will turn on the eye on and off to see what the image is underneath and say, okay, I really would like more of that kind of coral on the right. So let me bring it down a little bit again to around 32 and then erase from this area. So I'm erasing some of that area.
Sound effects from the Wacom tablet.
I was going to say, I wonder if you can hear the brush. I was going to use my mouse too. Sometimes I'd like to use my mouse because it's a challenge to make it painterly, but I didn't want it to be like squeaking and clicking, you know. So, any questions while I'm doing this?
I haven't seen any. I did ask the group if they had any, and I haven't seen anybody write any, but I have a question.
Okay, sure.
And my question is, how do you decide on what's going to work well together? Like, do you have visions ahead of time, like this is what I'd like to do, or is there like a theme, like, you know, you're spending a lot of time on the ocean? I mean, how do you get your ideas? Like, I've seen your work online on the Photoshop Facebook group, and I mean, they're amazing, but like, where did it all start?
Right. So I might have a general like image, or like something might come to me in the evenings when I'm meditating, or when I'm sleeping and I'm having a dream. Or in general, because I run so many groups, I might end up seeing someone's work that triggers an idea for me. And so I might either write it down or just kind of keep it in my memory. And then I'll either look through my Lightroom catalog and see if I have images related to that topic or theme, or go to like some free stock sites like Pixabay, and Adobe Stock also has a lot of free stock imagery now, royalty free. And I'll just kind of collect a grouping of images, put them into a folder, and then bring them in. But one thing that, like for this, I have a specific, idea that I want to execute, so I can go over the way the tools work. But to be honest, when I do a lot of my kind of fine art compositing, I'm really trying to get into a zone where I might start with an idea like this, and then midway, as I bring in some texture or color or whatnot, I might completely shift and go into another direction. So for me, it's all about kind of being open to what the image or the visuals are trying to tell me. So sometimes I really like the original idea and I execute it all the way through, and other times I might even completely change midway if something else kind of triggers a better idea for me. Does that help?
Yeah. And I just wanted to address Casey's question about, we are recording this, so we will put it online later. So yes, absolutely. We will post this later.
Great. So, yeah. Okay. So gotten this point, and already I think it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I really like that. At first, I wasn't sure which direction you were going with it, but now it's starting to feel like it's at the bottom left corner. It feels three-dimensional to me, as opposed to the flat feel. And
right.
I think, I don't know how it got that way, but it like feels that way.
Magic. I sprinkle magic on it. So, all right. So then I have this image, which is how I was going to kind of tie it together. And so this image I wanted to use as a good example for the process of making selections. So as always, whenever I'm working on an image, and I'll hit F to go to full screen, so just focusing on the one image. As always, it starts off, if it's flattened, it will say background. And then I usually do a Command Option J to make a new layer. And I'll just, call it like girl or something, all right? So create a new layer, turn off the background. And as I showed you before, there are these quick action elements that you can use to select and remove the background. So if I do select subject, it does a quick selection, which looks pretty good. The only thing I can see is at the bottom, there's a little bit of the sneaker, which I can add to. And then Command D to deselect. If I do remove background, similar to the globe image, it just knocks out the background. And then I can't even see what might have been there before. I might not even care in terms of this. Like, it's only a little like heel of the sneaker. So I'm not sure that's so important. But it does have a built-in layer mask, as you can see here in the layers panel on the right. So that means I can always go back and paint in any elements, or if there's some kind of excess area, I can also paint that away by switching to the black foreground color. Now, if I go Command Z, I go back, and I wanted to show something that people ask about all the time, and it's not easy to use, but I wanted to do a kind of quick overview of it, and that's why I kept this composition pretty simple, pretty basic. Do a Command plus. If I then go to the pen tool, I hit P, it takes me to the pen tool in the toolbar, and I have it set to path. I don't want it to create a shape. And I was going to just give you a basics of how to use the pen tool to make a selection. And so for me, I might use, once again, the options you have, quick actions options in the properties panel when I'm doing something pretty free form, I guess you could say. But if I'm doing something professional for a client, I might take the time to use the pen tool because it's extremely exact. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the whole figure here, but I wanted to show you some elements or basics of the pen tool. Okay, so if I do Command plus, I zoom in even more. Oops, I clicked, so Command Z. Now, when you're in the pen tool, if you hold down the space bar, you will get the hand tool temporarily, so you can jump back and forth from pen tool to hand tool just by using the space bar. so I can move around my image that way. So I'm going to do a Command plus to zoom in even more. Go to the top of the head. So with the pen tool, I click, it puts a point. And as I click, when I click, it makes another point, but then I don't just drop it. I click and I pull a little bit to suggest where the next movement is going to go. So I click and I pull. So every time you pull, you're anchoring where the next point will be. And then you click and pull up and you'll see how it does that arch. And then if it's not perfect, you can hold down your Command key, or I guess Control on a PC. You can click on the little end tab, and then as you pull, you can kind of massage the way that it arches. Then if I click again, it makes another kind of arched movement, and then holding the Command key, I can then click on that point. Now, I clicked on my image, and so it deselected my whole path, right? So now if I click on it again and I go to click again, you'll see that it does not make a next connected line. So what I have to do is I click on the end by holding Command, click on the square, and then I hold down the Option key, and then I drag to show where the next line will be. And then I'm back in the flow of the pen tool. And so I might even zoom in again, Command plus, and then, you know, it's kind of hard because the color of her fingers is similar to the slight pink in the background. And then once again, I can Command click and pull down some points. So this is what I would do when I'm working for a client, and you know, anything from figures to I also do a series of industrial machines that I retouch, that I have to cut out from the background, and a lot of them have these very elaborate, crazy wires and tubes. So not the most romantic job, but it's a good challenge. And so I'll use the pen tool to kind of keep it exact. And so I just keep following the image down. And when I get to a point like this, I will Option click and drag to suggest the direction. And I just keep going.
Andrew, I have a question for Michael. Michael says, is it within the preferences to allow each file to be on the Photoshop desktop instead of being at the top of the toolbar?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. The preferences to allow each file to be on the Photoshop desktop instead of being at the top of the toolbar.
Maybe he could clarify that in the comments. In the meantime, Osvaldo said, can you change the color of the path?
Well, I'm just using this, the pen tool, to create a path, which I will then make into a selection. So I guess if you're using this to draw something, you can then make it a selection, and then you can stroke the path, so you can make it whatever color you want. But for now, I'm just trying to utilize it as a way to have it as a path that I will then use to make a selection.
Michael says each photo. So is it within the preferences? So like if you go into preferences for, I guess, maybe each photo?
Well, I know that you can save, and then you can choose where you save to. I'm not sure what he's talking about when it comes to being at the top of the toolbar, because this is the toolbar, and the only thing that is at the top of the toolbar is a series of plugins I have. This up here is the option bar, and this is the toolbar. So I'm not quite sure what he's asking.
I wonder if he's referring to the top as the toolbar.
Yeah, but like I said, if you do a file save as, you can choose, like this is defaulting to the last folder I used. But I can obviously click here and then choose desktop or just on my hard drive, etc. But yeah, it's not. I'm not sure if there's a preference that you can decide that it always saves to desktop. I think you probably could, but I'm not really concerned with that. So too much to show to kind of dwell too much on that. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by the top of the toolbar. So all right, so getting back to the pen tool, I'm at this point to make sure that it follows this shape. I'm here. Oops, I don't know why it went away. Okay, so temporarily I got out of the pen tool. Yeah, so it follows that. And then if I wanted to make sure it got that elbow, I could hold down the Command key, click and drag, and then see when it goes up like this. If I were to click again, oh, it's still following the form, but if it didn't, I would once again hold the Option key and drag to make sure it follows. Okay, so I don't want to spend the whole time doing this, so I'm just going to do kind of a quick thing. So if I were to go over here, I would just kind of like follow the form. When I get to that point, hold the Option key, drag. So I'm suggesting where it'll go to. Hold up so it follows the arch. If I'm a little off, I just hold down the Command key, tweak the point so it goes on the edge. And then I just make a couple points, follow it to here, go up. And it's very forgiving as long as you use the keyboard shortcuts. So, you know, hold down the Command key, you can get the point. So you can kind of tweak it back. The hardest part is like if you're using a Wacom tablet is when I start doing a lot of silhouettes like this, my hand can cramp up.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I've had jobs in the past where, and I think they had a mouse. Like I was brought in as a freelancer, and I think they only had a mouse, and the job was to cut out jewelry for like Harry Winston jewelry, and it was like a diamond necklace.
Oh gosh, all the light.
It was like all these tiny little diamonds I had to go around, and then after you went all the way around the whole thing, you obviously had to go back into the inside of it and do the whole inside to cut it out. Yeah, that was quite intense, but it was a great way to get good at the pen tool. Okay, so Command Z to get back, Command click, and then it's got to make sure you grab the right point. Option drag. So I click, and I'm just going to kind of pull this up. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Okay, so once again, hold down the space bar to get the hand tool so you can move around. Click. Click and pull. Click and pull. Top. And oops. Okay. So it's like half, you know, just kind of as an example. And when I go to the pass panel, I usually tend to double click and then you can call it whatever you want. So even the default path 1 is fine, or I can just call it girl or something. And then you see that it's basically saved. So then if you save this document, you come back. I don't like this extra thing, so I'm just making sure I click that. And there's another one there. So keep that clean. And then what I do is if I go and I Command click, it becomes a selection. So if I go back to the layers part and I click on the layer mask, it knocks out the rest of it and just keeps it as just the part that I selected. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but this is just an example of using the pen tool, then converting it to a selection, and then adding a layer mask. So hope that helped anyone who had questions about the pen tool. And then,
I have another question. It's actually from me again. I know that for my students, we use a lot of smart objects. Do you ever find yourself using a lot of smart objects in your Photoshop compositing? And if so, for what reasons?
For me, I use smart objects for a couple reasons. One, when I bring in an image, I might, and just to show you how easy it is to make something a smart object, I will go to the Layers panel, I'll right click, and I'll just say Convert to Smart Object. And so for me, a lot of times I might use Convert it to Smart Object if I'm going to resize. So I make it a smart object, do a Command T on a Mac, Option drag to resize it, just so it contains the original information and doesn't lose any quality. And then I also would do that if I was going to do the opposite. So if I did Convert to Smart Object, Command T, and held Option and wanted to make it larger, I feel that when I hit the return key, I were to zoom in, and this is already kind of a slightly pixelated or noisy image, but I think that you would retain better quality. Another way that I use it, just to kind of show how smart objects work, is if I converted to smart object and then I went and did something like even image filter. Like if I went to a filter and I said filter gallery, yeah, filter gallery, and I did something like this kind of effect, right? And it's already set to say levels of 7, edge simplicity of 4, edge fidelity of 2, and I hit OK. And then say I was doing this for a creative job, and then I showed it to the client, and they said, I like it, but it's a little too much. Like, is there a way to make it so that it shows a little bit more of the girl's features? Because it's a smart filter, I can just go back by double-clicking Filter Gallery. It pops this Filter Gallery cutout under Artistic option, and then I can say, okay, instead of edge simplicity of 4, what happens if I make it 1? If that's too simple, what if I make it, yeah, the other way, edge simplicity becomes more simple the higher you go. So I'd make that lower. And then for the number of levels, if I make it, well, that's interesting, the effect. So the higher I go for the number of levels, the more somewhat realistic it gets. And edge simplicity. So there it shows a little bit more of her features, like her nose and her eyes and lips. So it's a way that you can go back and be able to make endless changes because you made it a smart object. So smart, you add a filter to a smart object, it becomes a smart filter. Another thing that's interesting is by converting it to a smart object and then adding a filter, you'll see that this shows up. So that is like a built-in layer mask. So then if I were to hit the X key, make black the foreground color, choose my brush, left bracket key to make it a little smaller, and then change the opacity down to like 24. I can then go in and erase and bring back certain realistic features.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice effect.
And I can make the brush a little bit bigger, and maybe I'll make her arm realistic. So I go back and kind of make her arm real. So then the rest of her is, kind of cartoony, but I'll make it so that her hand and her arms are real. See, this is pretty cool. One idea can kind of bring you into another idea. So
yeah,
maybe make her hair a little bit more realistic. So I might change the opacity a little higher so it's stronger for the strength of erasing. All right, so then you got like half real, half kind of illustration look.
Yeah, that's great. I like that.
Okay, now to get back quickly, I just click on this panel, the history panel, and I just go back up to where it was originally. And then once again, just do Command Option J, curl. And then in this case, I think, I believe I tried to do the select subject before and it kind of knocked out, like I said, some of the sneaker. Or I tried to do remove background and it added a layer mask which knocked out the sneaker. So I'm going to do select subject. And then I'm going to go over something that a lot of people shy away from that I really like. Okay, so close the properties panel. When you make a selection, a lot of people think that you have like, you have your marquee, elliptical marquee, rectangular marquee tools. You have lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool. And then, later on they came up with object selection tool, quick selection, magic wand, the different ways of selecting, right? But the one thing that people tend to overlook that I'm a big fan of is at the bottom, if you double click this icon, there's a thing called quick mask. And so it usually starts off the default as mask areas, which would be the background. And I like to consider that whatever my selection starts with, I want that to be the selected areas. So I change it to selected area. And you can change it to any color you want for your preview. So, I can make it green, hit OK. And when I hit OK, then, it's green. And so if I do a Command plus to zoom in, hold the space bar for the hand tool, I can go down to the bottom and then make sure I go back to the brush tool. And I want it to be 100. So I hover over the word opacity, get the scrubby slider, pull it to 100. Come on. And then I see that there's just a little bit of a heel of her sneaker and a little bit of the top right area of her left sneaker. So I hit the left bracket to make it a little smaller. And as I paint, I'm painting a selection. So if I hit Q, you can see the selection. But if I Q again, I'm back in the painting of the quick selection. So I'm a big fan of this because it's painterly. And a lot of people never use it. And I'm like, why not? It's great. So here's a way that you can just add to your selections when it does a pretty good job, but there's little areas that you want to clean up. And therefore, if I wanted to get rid of some of the areas, I just hit the X key. White is the foreground. Hit the left bracket to make it smaller. And then just kind of erase that area. And also here, right? And if I overdo it, I just quickly hit the X key and paint in that little edge.
Can you show us where to find this little tool that nobody seems to remember? You said it was under the square and
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, so it's called Quick Mask.
Quick Mask, yes, yes.
So say you used, like I said, in the properties panel, you did select subject.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that people tend to use a lot is the quick selection tool.
Yes.
And so you use that and you selected the majority of the girl, but there were areas that were missing or look strange. So now when I look at it, I can also see that even though I've already used the quick mask, there's a little bit of area of her fingers. So what I'll do is Command plus to zoom in, space bar to pull down. There I am. And then what happens is if you double click this, looks like kind of a rectangle with a circle in the middle, you get the quick mask options. So I always make sure it's set to selected areas. So my selection is what's green, not the background. And then depending on the image. So if I'm working on like a red Corvette, I surely don't want the quick mask preview to be red. So I can click here and change it to any color I want. The green is a little close to the yellow kind of jumpsuit she's wearing. So I could say, well, let's make it red. And then when I hit OK, she's in red.
Thank you.
But in this case, I do want to see the fingers more. So as an example, I'll go back and I'll say, nah, let's make it green again, just so I can see. So I say, okay, okay. Oh, and one last thing I should remind you. You can change the opacity of it. So just like in the options bar, if you hover over the word opacity, you get a scrubby slider. And then you can kind of just scrub to the right to make it more opacity, which would be more solid, or lower so you could see through a bit more. I keep mine around 35, 36, whatever, 39 is fine. So it's a bit in between. So hit OK. I make sure I'm in the brush. It's in the quick selection tool, so I just hit B to get back to the brush. And then when I paint, I can add a little bit of the kind of fingers, knuckles area. Just bring this back. If I hit Q, I go back to the selection. I can see there's an area here I don't want. So I just, with the X, switch it to white, and then paint away that little area. So I tend to just hit Q back and forth as I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, maybe I want to clean up a little bit more or add a little bit more. If I overdid it, I just hit X, clean it out. And then I hit Q again, and we're back to the selection. So after it's gotten to that point, what I can do is I can just click on, at the bottom of the layers panel, the add layer mask icon, but I tend to want to always give it a little bit of a feather. So you hit M for marquee. I can right click in the middle, brings up a contextual menu. I choose feather. And in this case, 1 pixel feather is fine. Then when I click on the layer mask, it knocks out the background. Hit F a couple times. Bring it over here. I go over to my layers panel. Holding the shift key, I click and drag. Hit F to get back. And in this case, I don't really need the layer mask anymore. So I could technically say convert to smart object, which then hides the layer mask. Command T for transform. Holding the option key, I drag edge, and I bring it up and resize it to fit. So I kind of like this image. It's simple, but I like the kind of kookiness of it, you know. And then what I can do, so I make sure I save. So another thing that I tend to do with my artistic composites is I will see how the effect of the layer on top relates to the images underneath. And then I will zoom through the different layer blending modes. So as long as I'm in the move tool, I can just hold Shift plus and it cycles through. And so, I mean, I could go to certain areas that I know work well. So that's lighten. That tends to work very well with a lot of my imagery. But I want to be kind of pleasantly surprised. So I go back to normal. I'm in the move tool. I'm in the top layer. I just hold Shift plus, and then I can cycle through until I see a layer blending mode that I like. And I was going to say lighter color, lighter, lighten overlay is good, but in this case, maybe a little too strong. And here's one I kind of like. So here's hard light. And I like the fact that for most part, she's solid, but you can see a little bit of the texture coming through. And then the turtle is coming through nicely. Tortoise, turtle. Any questions?
I don't see any right now.
Okay.
This is very good.
Yeah, so we've gone over selections, gone over the pen tool, gone over layer masks with layers, gone over layer blending modes. And then just, one last thing is when I'm in the top layer of the girl. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fran says Shift plus. You want to click on that comment? Shift plus is a major time saver. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So instead of, I can pretty much gauge how the layer blending modes will work, but I do like to kind of cycle through, and this Shift plus is a great, major time saver. Okay, so when I've gotten to this far, I might go down to the bottom layers panel, click on the add layer mask, and then black is my foreground color, so I just choose a brush, and then right bracket key. You can also do, is it a control option on a Mac. I can also do this to change the size of my brush, but it kind of drags, so I tend to just like to use the right bracket key, which jumps in bigger increments, or the left bracket key to change it. So in this instance, I want it about this size. I'm in the layer mask. You can see the frame around it. I bring the opacity down by clicking over the word opacity using the scrubby slider, making it something like a 20, 23. And then with the black as my foreground color, I can paint away certain areas if I want them to come through. So I want a little bit more of the background, a little bit more of the tortoise. It's kind of getting muddy though, so I'm not sure if I want to go in this direction. I might just do it for a little bit, but if I change my mind, you're in a layer mask, so you simply click X. White is your foreground color. You can just paint it back. So I can paint back what I don't like. So maybe I'll just keep it a little bit see-through where the tortoise is, and then kind of bring it back and just let the layer blending mode set to hard light bring back some of that texture through. And I just hit S. Cool. Any questions? I think that's about an hour now, right?
Yeah. Over an hour.
I mean,
this is great. No, I think this
didn't want to keep it too complex, because then what I've seen in previous is all of a sudden, like someone's in the middle of an image that they didn't kind of see was going to get so complex, and then they can't kind of track back to wrapping it all up,
Yeah. And you reminded me of the quick command for masking things. I used to use it forever, and then I got, into a different field altogether and didn't need it, and then I forgot about it. So when you brought it up again, I was like, oh, that takes me back 20 years. So that was a good thing. I was like, oh, I did know about that, but I haven't used it in such a long time.
All right. So maybe I'll jump back in the room. So
yeah.
There we
Laura
go.
says, very cool.
Bring back my view. There we go. Great.
Awesome stuff, Michael.
And then Michael says, awesome stuff. Let's go 2 hours.
Let's go 2 hours. Oh gosh.
I'll present again for the Tampa Bay Adobe user group.
Yeah, you did before.
Photoshop groups. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But yeah, my groups always have like 3 or 4 different people scheduled a month, so it gets pretty intense. But
yeah.
Gracious, thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
I can do all the work now, Sarah.
Yeah. You make the big money now.
Right, clicking.
Well, as promised, I have a raffle tonight, and I want to have you guys type in your thoughts. We're gonna have since there's only there's about 26 people watching, so type in. So we're gonna do a number that has been pre-selected. That is from 1 to 50, and no duplicates, please. And whoever's the closest to that number that I've picked already will win the raffle, which is the Creative Cloud for a year. If you already have Creative Cloud, it will tack another year on to what you already have. So it's a year subscription for Creative Cloud, which is all the software. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying nice, very nice.
Yes, yes. So if you would start typing in your numbers, which number you'd like from 1 to 50, I have like I said, whoever's the closest will win. And then I'm going to have to use my phone as well, because some of you say just Facebook user, but I can see who you are here. So I'm going to look through here, and we'll give you another, let's just say another minute. And
I'll create a banner with the name of the winner.
Yeah. Let me send you the, hang on, let me look through here.
Right.
So if you, yes, everybody's putting their numbers in. Did everybody like Andrew's presentation? I hope. Do you guys like this setup where you've got the 2 people? Like,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, like I said, I'd be glad to help host some of your meetings when you have other people. So
yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Got some of these numbers just to see what people are posting.
Yes, we got.
Okay,
Susie's got 37.
37.
Yeah.
3. Just be aware though that if you don't share your information with StreamYard Facebook, that link, it just says Facebook user. So
yes,
make it hard for Sarah to give credit to.
Yes.
The number in.
So 1 to 50. Don't repeat someone else's number. And I have a pre-selected one that I thought of today.
A lot of numbers here.
Yes. Well, we had a pretty good turnout. I think there was like 36 people on at one time.
Yeah, Fran, I think went to the same first college as me, SUNY Purchase.
Oh.
I was a printmaking major back in that. Yeah.
Nice, Fran.
Yeah, SUNY Purchase, then Massachusetts College of Art, then the School of the Museum of Fine Arts. So busy in college, busy in the groups, busy in life.
Someone asked, what does the F key do again?
So yeah, the F key is like the full view. So it's your different views while you're in Photoshop. So when I hit the F key, it usually goes from a window with the title to then creating a canvas background, which I have set to neutral gray. So then I can see color better, and I can also work on a composite without seeing all the background images or distractions. So Bob says he signed up for a reminder but didn't get it. This is being recorded, Bob, so feel free to watch it afterwards. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lee says, I can never figure out how to sign up for StreamYard. Leah, send me a direct message on Facebook, and I will send you a link that also has a discount for StreamYard. So get you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Fran is a lifelong learning, forever young person.
Good way to be. We're always learning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're not sometimes. Always learning, though. Always learning. Okay, so did you pick a number?
I did. I'm going to go back up here, and I believe the person that is the closest is Terry Spence. The number was, and I hope this shows right, but it's the number 13.
Spence.
Terry Spence is the winner tonight. Woohoo! Because I did see one. Terry Spence. Yeah. So Terry, I'm going to need you to give me your information. And if you could DM me, I'm going to need information from you. So if you could,
right.
yeah.
And if not, you can send me a direct message and I will relay it to Sarah as well. So
yeah.
And what is it you need?
Yeah, so let me tell you what I'm going to need from you so that maybe you can just put it into, you can also put it into an email to me. I'm going to need the following information.
No way. Yep,
yeah, no way. That's awesome. So I am going to need your email address. I'm going to need your first and last name. So if you already have an account with Adobe, like what know you as first and last name, and your email address, and let's see, and also, go ahead.
Their location as well. Do they state where they're located?
Well, as long as they're in the United States, if they were in another country, I would need to know which country you were in. So if you could let me know which country you're in, I'm assuming. Well, I can't assume anymore. We're online.
That's right. International groups here.
I'm so used to local, and to go like so big like this is just blowing my mind. So,
so yeah, Terry, send your information to either Sarah or me.
Yep.
We'll make sure that Adobe sends you this wonderful extension of your Creative Cloud subscription. Yeah.
Yes.
And Osvaldo asked, what tunes do I play in the background when working on Composite? So that's a great question, because another thing I was going to say in terms of my composites, which are a bit more kind of art or fine art focused than they are, say, realistic at times, I tend to like to listen to ambient music. And so, Brian Eno and, kind of alternative ambient music. And sometimes, a lot of the times, I want to create visuals that remind me of music. So I'll play, that type of music that's kind of meditative ambient music and try to create that visually. So thanks for asking, Osvaldo. Thanks for all your help too in the groups.
I also wanted to ask the group, if you were to have another event like this, what would you like to see? Our user group tries to cover a multitude of softwares. And so if you have some ideas of like what you'd like to see or who you'd like to see, I have friends that have, backgrounds in different things like video and InDesign and that sort of thing. And so if you guys have some ideas that you could kind of type into the chat, that would be really helpful for me, because then I can then seek out,
online events would you like to see? Yeah,
exactly. And I will just kind of copy the After Effects. Okay, we did After Effects was our last meeting. So that was good. But yes, After Effects. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. As long as it's Adobe focus. So
yeah, right, exactly.
Effects, Photoshop, Lightroom, InDesign, Adobe Illustrator.
I was thinking about InDesign might be the next meeting, just because we just haven't really done anything in InDesign in a while. So we got some suggestions.
Listen to Kyoko Matsui's fabulous instrumentals. Maybe I'll do a screenshot of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds cool to me. I like it.
Oh, okay. One person asked, how do you contact you to do a presentation for their club? And let's see who that was. I'm trying to see who. Can't tell because it just says Facebook.
Are they talking about me or for you, Sarah?
I don't know.
Let us know if you're talking about me or Sarah.
Yeah.
Terry says
InDesign for sure. Okay, good. Last year we did, getting your portfolio ready, kind of sprucing it up, what to put in it, high quality, small file size GIFs.
Yeah, GIFs. Yeah.
You say GIFs, I say GIFs. I know this is a potato. Designing book covers for novels. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
These are all good ideas. Book covers. Okay. Excellent. Okay.
For you are cute.
For you are kiwi. Do you understand that one? No. Okay. Good. Well, this has been good. Thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate you. And don't forget, Terry, make sure you reach out to me, because I'll need to put that.
More ideas from Fran.
Exactly.
Photoshop video and 3D capabilities.
And feel free to reach out to me if you have, any suggestions, or if you'd like to present, because I'm always looking for presenters. So we got someone.
just a reminder of where you can find me online, where I seem to live. So first is please come and join the Photoshop and Lightroom group. If you are viewing this from another group, please come join that one as well. Facebook.com/groups, Photoshop Lightroom group. There's a bunch of people who've like taken some of the web address URLs of groups that I have. So I had to put the word group at the end. Photoshop group. And then they'll have like one post for 10 years. And it's like, why doesn't Facebook give it to active groups, you know? But that's Facebook. So that's that. If you don't know, I send out a weekly newsletter. So the Photoshop and Photography newsletter, please subscribe to that. If you don't see the link in these recording, then please feel free to direct message me and I will send you that link to sign up. We have a featured artist every week. And also I tend to put information about any online, at least for now, online events. And then in the future, when things open up again, I will have any information about any conferences or special events related to Photoshop and photography. And I do also have some promotions and deals on things related to Photoshop and photography, you know, books, plugins, presets, pretty cool stuff. Yep.
Very nice.
And as I talked about before, I'm also active now on Clubhouse. So come join the Photoshop and Photography Club on Clubhouse. I think it's basically past 900 members already. It's a kind of a mixture of members and followers. I kind of wish they would merge the two, but you know, whatever. It's growing pretty fast. It's the biggest Photoshop and Photography Club on Clubhouse. We're the only one with that name, so not so hard to do. But and if you are on Clubhouse, please follow me at Photoshop-Drew, Photoshop Drew. You can go to the search bar under people, just type Photoshop, and I should come up.
Andrew, your Facebook group, is it the biggest in the world for Photoshop?
It used to be.
Okay.
The Photoshop and Lightroom group used to be 446,000 members.
Wow.
And then what happened was it just became too much work for the admins and moderators. And so we decided to archive it and start a new group, which I knew would grow pretty well. So now the new group, Photoshop and Lightroom's only been about a year or two old. That's now 158,000 members. I'm still at the same time ambivalent about that decision, and I kind of wish if I had kept that original group, would it have passed 1 million members by now? Which would have been completely insane though. So a million members, I'd have to get like 75 admins, moderators, you know.
That's a lot.
But yeah, 158,000 is not bad. I wouldn't mind it getting up to 200 to 250,000. And Clubhouse is starting to get pretty big. So I think when Clubhouse opens up to Android users and then in the general public where you don't need an invite, the Photoshop and Photography Club on Clubhouse could get pretty huge too.
Explode.
And just so you know, if you are on Clubhouse or planning on joining when it comes out to Android or the public, the Photoshop and Photography Club has scheduled rooms almost every day of the week. So we have Rob Sylvan, who runs like a show and an article online for Lightroomers about Lightroom. He will be doing some on Monday. We have Lisa Rosenberg on Tuesdays. Me and some of the other moderators, admins, run a Photoshop and Photography room under the club of Photoshop and Photography. And then my top admin, Christy Bell, who's very helpful. She runs 2 different Clubhouse rooms, one on Thursday and one on Sundays. So if you are in Clubhouse, do check it out. It's very active and it's getting better all the time.
That's awesome. Also, I believe this year they are going to be doing Adobe Max free online as well this coming year. So look out for that.
Oh yeah. If I had known, I would have put up the information, but I guess we have time. You know, maybe
we have a lot of time. Yeah,
we'll put up a graphic for it, and then
yes, we can start making those graphics. But I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. I attended a lot of them because they were online, and they're still online. You can go to Adobe's website and watch videos from different types of software and stuff like that. So super helpful.
That'll be exciting. That's in October, and of course I'll be posting about that in all the groups. In fact, what I'll probably do is on Clubhouse have, like, say, Paul Tranny or Terry White or both of them talk about Adobe Max in the Clubhouse rooms. Maybe even the Facebook groups.
Yeah, I think we should do a Facebook group thing because
we can merge it. So.
Yeah, Paul Tranny is he's awesome.
He's spoken in about rooms and Clubhouse. And,
yeah.
And I think he's done live video events for the Facebook groups too. So yeah.
Terry White on here. This would be amazing.
Laura says, so glad she found us. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, join all the groups and enjoy all the great stuff that's always coming every month.
Yep. And we try to do some kind of fun raffle. Obviously if we could have met in person, then we would have, but I think that we reach a lot more people, and the timing, a lot of people are either coming home from work or, just getting off of work or whatever. So sometimes just finding that time to get away from people or your work is like impossible. So online is kind of sometimes the better way to do this. So
yeah. Busy stuff. Great. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, Sarah. So thank you.
Thank you so much again, Andrew. I really appreciate all your time and your technology. And
make sure everyone follows that Tampa Bay Adobe user group on Facebook, the Photoshop and Lightroom group on Facebook, the Learn Photoshop group on Facebook, and the Photoshop and Photography group on Facebook, and the Photoshop and Photography Club on Clubhouse.
So funny.
But yeah, great stuff to follow. Always stuff happening. Like I said, my groups have 3 or 4 of these live video events a month. So yeah, and like I said, Sarah, the offer stands. So if you want to help host, your next.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to work really well, and it was fun reading what everyone was writing and that sort of thing. That was new to me too. So you warned me that it was going to happen, but I hadn't seen it before like that. So. Thank you so much.
It works great. I love the way it's pretty seamless.
Yeah, very good, very good. And it's capable of being watched on social media, which a lot of people have. So that's really good too.
And so so in all the different groups, I will be posting the recording of this so you can watch it. And then I also post it on my website where I have years and years listed of these live video events. So yeah.
Wow.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, have a great evening, everybody.